Hi, and welcome to our podcast, An Engineering Odyssey, with your hosts, Gaff and Pats. I'm Gaff.
And I'm Pats.
Let's roll the intro. Welcome everybody to An Engineering Odyssey. This is our first chapter.
First official chapter.
And if you haven't already listened to our preface, or is it a preface?
It's definitely preface. If you're saying preface, I think you're wrong.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm not too sure about that actually now. Preface?
We've started off prepared. Shall we Google this?
Preface sounds weird. Preface sounds alright, but I do think it is preface.
No, it's definitely preface. Let's Google this.
Let's Google it. This is a great intro. This is how all great things start.
I listened to the audio clip.
And
yeah, it's definitely preface.
It's preface.
Yeah, it's preface. Right. Right.
Well,
continuing on then.
We got that one out of the way. Well, okay. So if you haven't already listened to our preface, please go ahead.
It sounds weird now. We've said it far too many times. Anyway,
if you haven't already, just go ahead and listen to that.
Yep.
We explain what the podcast is about, who we are, why we're doing this. And hopefully you'll understand what's to come in the next few episodes.
Yeah, I think that's what we did in the preface, really. It was just a quick intro to our podcast.
And
yeah.
So what are we talking about today?
Well, I think we're talking about early interest today, right?
Yeah, where it all started, basically.
Yeah, so first career interests, I guess. What we chose, our first ambitions, and why, really.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be a walk. What was it? A stroll through memory lane.
Yeah, it's stroll down memory lane. I think that is.
Down memory lane.
Yeah, not through. Anyways, let's get cracking then. So, what was your first ambition?
I think my first early ambition was to become a commercial airline pilot.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds a bit childish as well, and some people might think, oh yeah, no, you want to be a pilot, but
no, I don't think it sounds childish at all. I mean,
I genuinely wanted to be a pilot, and this stemmed a lot from my interest in the military as well. So I was enrolled in the Air Training Corps when I was younger, and this was around, I think I was around 14 years old.
Sorry, just going back to when you said it was childish, unless you said I want to drive planes, I don't think it sounds too childish. I mean, being a pilot is. I just think
at that age, does anybody really know? Like at that age, do you really know what a pilot is and what do they do? And I don't want to sound childish like that, but I did feel like I really did want to become a pilot. I started having a really big interest in it, and like I said, I joined the Air Training Corps. I was rolled in there.
Well, I guess a little spoiler alert. I mean, we'll get onto this. My first ambition as well was to be a pilot, and mine came a lot earlier than yours.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
Yeah, you could say it is childish.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll get into my story in a bit. But the reason I picked it is more childish than what you're going to say now. You have more of a logical reasoning to it, but I still felt like.
I mean, like this in terms of my first ever professional ambition, which is around that age, I think is fine.
Yeah, no, it's about right.
So yeah, being a pilot, that was my first kind of my first ambition, and I really did start getting heavily involved into it as well. Like I started researching a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I found all the different academies that I can get into, and this started developing further and further as I started growing up.
But where did it stem from?
So, like I said, where it stemmed from, I was interested in the military. I liked the Air Force. I really enjoyed the discipline and everything the military stood for. I never really saw myself joining the Air Force or the RAF here in the UK for different reasons, but I just never really thought I would join the Air Force particularly. But I was still really heavily interested in becoming a pilot.
Why is that? Because I know you had family who were in the military.
Yeah.
It was your granddad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He wasn't in the Air Force, was he?
No, he wasn't. He was in the army.
But right. So what drew you away from it then?
So what drew me away from it?
Yeah.
What drew me away from joining the Air Force?
Yeah.
It wasn't something that I thought I could, really excel in, and I saw myself as leading a career in that field.
Okay.
It was more, like I said, it's just an interest. I liked everything that they did and the discipline and so on and so forth. I just wasn't seeing myself doing that for however long in my life.
So just to clear it up, you still wanted to be a pilot, just not in the Air Force.
That's right.
Okay.
So that was, like I said, that was my first ever ambition. And I started doing a lot more research. I tried to find out how to become a pilot. And like I said before, it just started developing more and more
as you went along.
Yeah. That was the first ever ambition. I don't think that changed for quite a while until I started becoming a little bit more serious when I found out that piloting wasn't the best option to go down. And this is where we kind of
we have
our paths kind of
converge. So how old were you when you first decided?
When I stopped thinking.
So when you thought piloting wasn't the
option. I was going into my A levels at that time, so I think I was probably, what was that, 16?
16, yeah. 17? No, maybe a bit older, 16.
Yeah, I would say probably around 17 years old. That's when I stopped. That's when I said, okay, do you know what? Throw in the towel with the piloting. And we'll discuss why. Because I want you to discuss your reasons to become a pilot as well. So, and then we'll tell everybody why we both stopped, because
it was a similar reason.
Similar.
Yeah, well, same reason really.
Yeah.
My first ambition, as you said, is also being a pilot. Mine stemmed a lot earlier than yours. So you said you were about 13, 14. I think I was 9 or 10 years old, and it seems extremely young thinking back now. It was sort of I wouldn't say immature, it was sort of childish. I'm trying to think of the right word here. The thing that drew me to be a pilot was something that, it's just a funny thing. It's like you enjoy being on planes. Yeah. So I used to travel a lot when I was younger.
Which is good as well. Like, that's how interests are.
Yeah, that's you need to like something. Yeah, you need to enjoy, or you need to have a love for something.
Exactly.
And that's exactly it. So I used to travel a lot when I was younger. And I used to be on planes all the time, and I was just fascinated and intrigued by a mysterious flying object, something that can transport 200 people 30,000 feet in the air, or 35,000 feet in the air. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so as I was saying, as I was traveling, I think it was once I was coming back from holiday, and I got a sort of small glimpse into the cockpit. And being a very kind young gentleman that I was, I asked quite nicely if I could go and see inside.
So you actually got to experience it. I mean, not fly, but
no, obviously
you got to sit in the
I was
seat.
9 years old. I was coming off the plane, and they'd sort of just was it deboarding? So I just saw the inside of the cockpit. I was like, oh, that looks good. Let me have a look. Mm-hmm. So I asked nicely if I could go inside. They let me in. I had a look around. It was like Disney World.
And then from there, you're like,
I looked around and I saw like the pilot and the co-pilot were busy chatting away, and they were pressing all sorts of random buttons. And I was like, oh, this looks so cool and intriguing. I really want to try.
This is my calling.
Yeah, that was it. That was exactly the feeling. That's sort of what happened in my head there when I saw it. I was like, oh, yes. So that's what first drew me onto it, and from there I took it quite seriously because I was quite interested in it. I was like, this is quite fun. So then from there I was in 9 years. I was 9, 10 years old. I was in year 5, year 6 maybe going into.
That's primary school age.
It's primary school, really young. So I didn't take it too seriously. I was just sort of cracking on with primary school, and then got in secondary school. That's when I started thinking I want to be a pilot, and that pushed all the way on through to sort of early GCSEs.
Again, I'm assuming you did the same that I did. And you
researched everything.
You looked at different academies.
Oh, yeah.
And you found the biggest problem.
The biggest problem was 3-1
money.
Finance. Yes, it was far too expensive. When I sort of spoke to the careers office in secondary school, and they can only offer you so much advice. I think the careers advisor was like a geography teacher or something. So she had another job in the school. So she wasn't exactly giving the best advice, but she gave me these are the sort of salaries and things, the really basic stuff. But she didn't tell me, it costs a lot to do it as a career, or, to get all the pilot licensing and all of that done, and how many hours you need to actually fly for. So that came a little bit later on. So something I failed to mention is during that holiday I went with my family, I was also with another family member who's a bit older than me, about 4 or 5 years older, and he also loved planes just as much as I did. And he also came to look inside the cockpit, and he went and took it on as a career.
So he actually became a pilot.
Yeah, so he actually did all the education, started with his licensing, and he got halfway through his licensing before he realized his pockets were empty. And that's when he sort of spoke to me and said, "It's one to put, it's one to put on a back burner for now. I think it's the one you want to go down."
I tried extremely hard.
Yeah, I gave up. I gave up early. You went on still.
I made sure that I wanted to try and fulfill this dream. as much as I could. And I knew once I started researching, I knew that the financing was going to be the hardest problem. And typically people would either pay it from their own pockets or they would get a sponsor. They would find a company and the company would sponsor them. And then once you finish your education, once you get your license.
Yeah, your PPL and CPL, isn't it? Yeah.
CPL, yeah. Once you get your license, you then work with them and you tied with them for a few years. So that was the ideal situation. I couldn't get it. It's quite difficult to get.
No, yeah, you need to be, I mean, I'm not saying that we're not smart or anything, but you need to be extremely bright.
I don't think it's anything to do with being smart or bright. It's to really stand out.
Yeah.
And
it's hard to do that as well when you're younger. So
exactly.
It's not easy.
So, I mean, like you said, your cousin, or was your family member?
Yeah, cousin it was.
Yeah. Who became a pilot. So it's doable. I know quite a few. I know a friend who also became a pilot who's from my school. So it's doable. But
you need financial backing.
You really need to kind of like consider a lot of different things.
Yeah. No, I know because all of my cousins' friends who went on to do the piloting, I think there was a group of 5 or 6 of them, and sort of 4 of them have ended up actually getting into the profession. One of them was filthy rich and just went through his licensing just straight off the bat, just straight doing all his hours. But the other ones actually
helps. It works. Yeah.
The other ones actually went into doing, I think, they were driving black cabs around in London before they got them, the finance. They sort of gathered themselves for 4 or 5 years before they could get the money together to do their licensing, and they did eventually get it, but through hard work and a lot of money.
Did you actually ever experience being sat behind, like in the cockpit while flying?
So I did have a good experience where I sat in a plane and had a little fly around.
Did you get to control?
Yes, I did, just for a little bit. I was quite young again. I was only like 13 or 14. But I went on a little flying lesson. Yeah.
Okay,
you did
good.
too, right?
I did. Yeah. So with Air Cadets, we were able to go on different kind of expeditions and stuff, and some of those expeditions are flying as well. Yeah. So it's a small plane. It's a Grob Tutor, I think, if I remember.
Right.
And you get to go up there with another pilot, and then he hands over control to you for a bit.
Yeah,
fly around.
Did you get to do like a hard right and hard left?
Yeah. You do very basic maneuvers. Yeah, very basic maneuvers, but it's
fun.
Eye opening.
It's fun. Yeah, it's fun when you're up there. You're like, oh, I'm controlling a plane here.
Exactly.
When you take it left and the whole plane tilts, you're like, oh.
It builds the interest even more.
Yeah, it does.
I realized.
And it's looking back on it, it's sad now because I had so much fun doing that, and I would love to have done that as a career.
Yeah.
Especially, I remember that day clearly. It was so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just reality at the end of the day. Some things will work out, some things don't.
Exactly, and that's one thing that you're gonna find out for the rest of your life. Some things do work out, some things don't.
Yeah.
And you just have to give it a try, and look at your options from there.
And it's after that, it's how you pick yourselves up. I don't want to make it all emotional, but it's how you pick yourselves up afterwards, and move on. So,
of course,
speaking of that, that's a good segue into
how we picked ourselves up after piloting.
Yeah.
Okay.
What did you move on to next?
For a while, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had a vague idea. So sticking through with piloting, it's more to do with like the STEM side of things. With being a pilot, you need to know your physics and your maths and stuff. Yeah. And I knew that what I wanted to do as a career had to be something to do with STEM related subjects. Okay. So like I liked history, I liked geography and all that, but I didn't like it as much as I didn't like
voice
it as
crack,
much.
So many voice cracks.
I didn't like it as much as I didn't think of a career out of it as much as engineering. I mean science and maths.
Yeah.
Oh, that was hard.
Yeah, you took a while to get through that.
I started thinking, I think I got into like year 10, year 11, and then I started to think of, okay, what do I really want to be doing as a career? And at the time, I was studying design and technology, electronics, which not a lot of schools do in the UK. So
no, I don't think we did that. No.
Yeah, I was quite
lucky
in that sense that we were able to actually study that, and it was a really fun class. It was mainly coursework based, so we were making I think we were making a door alarm.
Was this in GCSE?
Like this was GCSE.
BTEC.
No, it's not BTEC.
Was it not?
No, it was a GCSE.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah. So there's different design and technology classes that you can take. So there's like the textiles and the wood tech and all that kind of stuff. So electronics was one of them, and it touched a lot on circuit designs, and then you actually physically made a body for your alarm system. You then make the circuit board. You solder on all the components. So it was really hands-on.
Yeah.
And that's what really pushed me further into thinking engineering might be something that I really want to do.
So you went from piloting to engineering next?
Yeah.
Okay.
I started to think engineering is something that I really do want to do. I didn't have any idea of what kind of engineering.
Yeah, because there's so
at
many
the moment,
disciplines,
at the time I was studying, I was doing the electronic stuff, and I liked what I was doing. But again, I just didn't think specifically what type of engineering I wanted to do.
So you didn't know? Yeah,
I just like the hands-on aspect. I like the maths. I like the some of the science that we were covering.
Yeah. Okay, seems about right. Yeah.
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 And that was around, so I was 15, 16 years old.
Right. Fair enough then. Right. So I'll tell you what I went on to next then.
Yeah.
So I started GCSEs, and this reality hit me that piloting wasn't the way forward. So I had to quickly find something else, and again, taking inspiration from family members and friends that I knew who were studying a little bit more advanced, so a few years old or whatever. Pharmacy at the time was a thing everyone was going into. I think I don't know if you remember sort of our age in GCSEs, everyone was doing pharmacy.
It's very saturated. I know it is now.
That's what happened then. So
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why I shifted from there into engineering. But
Yeah.
we'll get onto that. So pharmacy was the first one because a lot of people were telling me salary was good. NHS in the UK is brilliant, so your pre-reg can get sorted quite
There's
easily.
a lot of rewards being a pharmacist.
Yeah, there is. Any NHS profession,
Yeah.
there's quite a lot of rewards. I mean, again, we'll talk about this later on. We have the job application process, which takes forever. I know they still have a sort of application process they have to do, but it's nowhere near as difficult as engineers find it out of university. But we'll get onto that. So yeah, pharmacy was the next thing I went into, and it was actually quite an educated, not guess I'd say, but a step forward into what I want to do next.
Yeah, advised on that.
Because I enjoyed chemistry, I enjoyed maths, biology I wasn't so fond of, but at the time, because what do you call a pharmacist? Some people call them chemists, don't they? Right.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh no, there's no biology. Well, there will be a bit of biology, but it'll be chemistry mostly. And I
Yeah.
loved chemistry
Yeah.
and I loved maths. So I was like, I'll go for this. Again, researching slowly, got into it, and I was like, oh no, there's a lot of biology in here. I'm not going to like this at all.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what sort of swung me away. And as you said,
Did you do any work experience?
Yes, so I did do some work experience in year 10, I think it was. I spent a week and a half at a pharmacy, and it wasn't fun at all. Actually, I was gonna say it was good fun. It wasn't, because I was sat in the back room, and I was doing them. The Dosset boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was making Dosset boxes every day for a full week.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll get onto the pharmacy side.
Yeah,
of things
so you also wanted to do pharmacy. Yeah,
exactly. For some reason we just aligned very
well.
well.
Yeah, I didn't know this until like this morning when we were just discussing. Yeah.
Well, okay, like I said, I did think I wanted to go into engineering, and that stayed in my mind, but I just didn't give it much thought or focus on it any more than that. Until I started to get into my A levels, and I had to start being serious now, and I had to start thinking, what do I really want to do? And engineering still being in my mind, I didn't know, like I said, I didn't know what I wanted to do specifically in engineering, whether it's mechanical, chemical, civil, electrical, etc. So being at that age, I need to start thinking, start being a bit more serious. That's when I came across pharmacy. I actually came across pharmacy a lot earlier in my in secondary school, because like you did work experience, I also did work experience, and I did a week work experience in a local pharmacy.
That's the same as me then.
And like you, I found it really boring. It was long hours on your feet, and you were doing the same things over and over again.
Yeah,
I didn't like it.
Work experiences. I get the premise. I get the premise of why schools want you to do it, but
I didn't know whether that was just because it was work experience or whether that's what the actual job entailed.
Yeah, see, this is what I was just about to get onto. As work experience, I think schools try to promote it and get people out to do it, but the people you then go into the companies to work for, they don't really take it seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's sort of like a placement in the middle of uni, they take you very seriously and they expect you to work hard.
Yeah.
Whereas in GCSEs, they're like, oh, he's just a kid.
Yeah.
put him in the back room, get him to
I
stuff
mean,
Dosset
despite
boxes.
despite you saying that, I actually learned so much on my work experience as
Really?
a pharmacist.
I
And
didn't.
you did the Dosset boxes. I
Yeah.
did that, but I did so much more as well.
Oh, really?
And I don't know if I'm allowed to say that or not, because I know pharmacy regulations have become so much more
Stricter, yeah.
strict now that I know some of the stuff that I did do. No one would be able to do that
see,
now.
The
as
thing
a-
is,
as a work
same
experience
as
student.
for me. So you say about Dosset boxes, and yeah, all I was doing was literally packing Dosset boxes all day. But I was left alone to do it, and there was a lot of drugs in the room that had been given. So like,
It's not awful.
yeah, it's not our fault. We were just giving it. We were in year 10, but I mean, it wasn't very responsible. That's what I could say.
That's
yeah.
true. That's true.
Good job we don't say which pharmacy it was for.
But I had to start being more serious about what I wanted to do.
Mhm.
So then I thought again about pharmacy. I worked in a pharmacy years ago for a week, and I realized, you know what, let me try and think about doing pharmacy again. And there's also different sides of pharmacy. There's the community pharmacy, which we experienced. Then there was a hospital side of pharmacy as well. And they're just pharmacists that work in the hospital, which is a bit more active. You're doing different stuff nearly every single day.
And you got a bit of experience.
So there was like an open day, a taster day kind
Yeah.
of thing. And I experienced what it was like as a pharmacist just for like a day. And shadowed them around, and it was interesting, but again, it didn't excite me. It
So,
didn't.
if I remember correctly, sorry, you said you did the day taster thing for the pharmacy. That was in a hospital pharmacy, and the
That was
1 week
yeah.
was in a community pharmacy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So which one did you like better?
I liked the hospital side more.
But just not enough.
It just didn't excite me.
All right.
It didn't excite me, and I can't. It's something that you really can't explain very well, but it's a spark inside you that should go off when you're really interested about
Should be
something.
fireworks, really. Right?
Exactly. And I get that with engineering, even with some of the stuff that I study now.
Yeah.
Different theories and different concepts that we go over in our classes. Some of them genuinely excite me.
Yeah.
I get
That sense of
that
awe
spark.
still, yeah.
I didn't get that with pharmacy.
Yeah,
It was
neither
for me-
did I. Neither did
with
I,
pharmacy, it was just a job you were doing over and over again.
See, the one good thing about pharmacy that I did like is you're helping people.
That's
You're
true.
providing medicine. That
That's true.
sort of aspect
That's
of it
true.
I did like. But like you said, there was no sense of awe about it. I mean, I would love to help people.
I know a
But-
lot of people in the healthcare profession. That's
Mhm.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And they say the same thing. The main thing that they love about being a doctor, a pharmacist, a dentist, whatever, is that you get to help people directly, and that's an amazing thing.
Yeah, and that's the
you
one
can't
thing,
really
yeah.
take that away from them. That's amazing.
That's the one thing I held on to for a while whilst
Yeah.
I was thinking about pharmacy is about
yeah,
healthcare and helping people.
definitely.
But like you said, it just didn't excite me at all,
Exactly.
and doing that 1 week experience really didn't help either. And yeah,
So that's piloting,
pharmacy, yeah.
and then pharmacy gone. So I fell back onto what I originally was excited about, but I never gave it much thought, which was engineering, and
See-
it was there in front of me the whole time.
See, this is where we differ. So mine was very in series, as you could say. So I went from piloting straight to pharmacy, and then after that I said engineering is where I want
Yeah.
to go, and I'll get into why in a second. And yours was sort of parallel. I mean, this is such an
I think engineering was
engineering way
there.
of saying this, but yeah, you all three were running parallel.
It was
whilst
there,
we were-
like in the background.
Yeah.
And it only came into the foreground when I actually started being serious.
But this is the thing, you got serious in A levels, and as you said earlier, A levels is where you decided that piloting was financially just not viable. It was also where you decided pharmacy, but then went to the open day and said no, and then eventually went on to do engineering, which is what you went and took on,
Mhm.
and that was all in the space of 2 years. Whereas mine was very staggered. I had it sort of, piloting, stop that, pharmacy, not that, and then went on to engineering.
Yeah.
So just what I'm saying is a lot of the three things were on your head at
But the
same time.
engineering one in itself is also a little bit of a journey. So like I said, I didn't know what type of engineering. And I'm assuming the same with you.
No, I was different actually.
Oh, okay.
Because we'll get into it. So you go first.
So I had some experience in, technical
Electronics,
work and using your hands, and that's what I had in my mind as, what engineering is. And I only figured out that that's completely wrong.
Yeah. So
Engineering, although it seems to be hands-on, it's
but not
more
as much.
theoretical,
Yeah,
if
it is.
anything, especially as a graduate engineer, somebody that graduates from university and they work in these big engineering companies. You're not
Yeah.
going to be doing hands-on stuff that
yeah.
much.
So I work in industry right now, and just a little snippet of what it's like. As an engineer, you're not out on plant
Yeah.
fixing things. You're the one who designs it and then gives it to maintenance or
Exactly.
technicians who then go out and do that, implement that
Exactly.
change on plant. So yeah, as you were saying, in design technology and electronics, you're the one soldering it. In engineering and industry, that's not what generally
Exactly.
happens. You're the one who designs it,
Yeah.
and then an electrician goes out. They call them sparkies, I think.
Technicians.
No, the electricians on site, wherever you go in, whichever industry, they call them sparkies for some reason.
Sparkies,
It makes sense,
cool.
but yeah, so they'll go out and then do
Yeah.
the
Exactly.
actual modification or change.
That's what I started. So when I started being serious about engineering, I needed to think, okay, what kind of engineering? I knew engineering was the path to follow, but which one, and what am I going to be doing? There were still questions I needed to answer. So I just started to research. That was the main thing. Like I did with pharmacy, like I did with piloting, I just started researching, looking at different salaries, looking at different job descriptions. And that's when I fell onto chemical engineering. And that's probably the last field of engineering that I actually found. I never knew anything about chemical engineers. I didn't know what they were. I never heard of them. I think everyone, when they were younger, they know about mechanical engineers.
Yeah, mechanics.
Mechanics,
You sort of goes. It's
you
not
think,
the not
you think
the same
straight
thing.
away, guy fixing car, he's covered in oil, he's holding a spanner.
Not the same thing at all.
Exactly.
Yeah, not the same thing,
That's
but
what we have in our mind, but that's not what an
As a-
engineer
yeah,
is.
no.
That's a technician. That's a
mechanic.
a
or something,
mechanic. They're not engineers, so to say. And
Yeah.
I only found that out as I started researching. And as I started researching, I found chemical engineering, and I saw what they were doing. And what really, really interested me, just like how pharmacists and healthcare professionals, they have the one thing that they attach themselves to is that they can, their job cares for people, and they
helps people.
help
yeah.
people, and all to do with the healthcare side of things. For me, what I found in chemical engineering is the same, but on a much wider scale.
That's exactly what I would think as well. Yeah, I'd say the same thing in chemical engineering as well. Not only that, it's such a wide discipline in terms of what field you can go into next, in terms of energy and food industry,
Yeah,
and
that's true.
the pharmaceutical, but the amount of people you can affect with
exactly.
just chemical engineering is quite
Because
amazing.
you'll be working within the wastewater industry, which is where I worked
Mhm.
in my industrial placement, and that is all to do with providing clean water to millions and millions of people.
Yeah.
And it seems like you're not directly helping them, because obviously you're working in this big plant,
Yeah.
and you're not seeing someone drinking water.
So
there and
this
there
is
in
the
front of you.
difference, but it's what you feel in your heart, really, isn't
Exactly.
it? So as you pass a medicine, if you're a pharmacist listening to this, as you pass medicine to somebody over the counter, you get that feeling, oh, I'm helping this person. Whereas we don't get that feeling, sort of the straight to the
Yeah.
person. We're not handing this person a glass of water and
Yeah.
saying, drink this. But
Until you step back.
until you
realise.
step back and you look and you think, oh, well, I've played a part in this,
Yeah.
which plays a part in this, and
Exactly.
look how many people it's
Yeah.
affecting, which is brilliant. But
I
yeah.
saw it like a puzzle as well. Engineering has always been more like problem solving.
yeah, see, I've enjoyed problem solving my whole
Yeah.
life, and that's one of the things why I got into engineering. And
Definitely.
so anyways, the reason I picked engineering now, mine's a bit of a quick story. I thought in GCSEs, once pharmacy sort of died down, I was like, nope, this is not what I want to do. Got onto the old Google, started typing up,
Good old Google.
professions with chemistry and maths, because as I said before, I loved chemistry and maths.
So you had two subjects in mind.
Yeah, so I had sort of a path of what I wanted to follow
Mm-hmm.
and what I wanted to go and do in the future. Chemical engineering popped up, and I was like, this sounds good. Let me research. I researched it a lot, and I found out straight away. So as you said, you found out the hands-on way, so you wanted to do something hands-on, thought of engineering, went through, found out it's not, but still something you'd like to do.
Yeah.
I found out straight away through the research that, okay, engineering isn't straight hands-on. It's sort of like design work, and I enjoyed that. Problem solving is what it was, essentially how it was pitched, and I love that. So I went for it. I was like, no, chemical engineering, and from that day I picked that, and I was like, this is what I'm going to do, and sort of focused towards it, and I guess brings
What
us
was
on now.
Okay, so last question, let's say. How do you feel about the decision you made?
Yeah, I love it. Engineering is the best thing.
Oh, there's a bit of a hesitation.
No,
at
there
the
was
start.
hesitation as in, I feel like I haven't talked enough about engineering, because that's the main thing. We talked a lot about pharmacy and, in
Yeah.
piloting, but
No, that's true.
no, I love engineering. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to just brush it aside. Engineering was the one for me. And right now, when you ask me, do you feel like it was the right decision? It definitely was, 100%. I work in the industry right now. Every day I go to work, I'm doing something different. And I'm in awe of whatever I do. And, the bits of plant that I get to see, I'm like, wow, this is something special.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I love engineering, and I assume it's the same for you.
Yeah, likewise. I can only say that my love and passion for engineering has only grown, and especially going through university and studying. There have been times that it dips, but the
That's with
majority of the
everything,
time,
I think.
exactly,
Yeah.
the majority of the time, it's been an amazing journey so far. I've loved everything that I've studied, and even now, like I'm in my masters, like as I've mentioned before, and some of the things I'm studying now, you get that kind of interest and that spark,
That vibe, yeah. It's just,
and back in like high school, back in secondary school, you were always seen as like, if you were to put your hand up and answer questions, if you were to
yeah,
engage,
you saw the SWAT.
you
yeah.
were the SWAT, you were
Yeah.
the nerd. In university, I'm seeing myself doing that because I'm so interested. I don't care what anybody
Yeah.
thinks, but at that
Engineering,
age,
yeah, it's
at that
different.
stage, everyone is involved.
Yeah.
And it's just great to actually have that feeling, and to really be satisfied with the path that I'm following and the decisions I've made. And I'm glad that. So here's some advice to some of our listeners that if you still are unsure of what you want to do, and whatever age you're at, don't close yourself off. I think that's the most important thing that I can do.
And well,
say.
the most important thing you can give as an advice, because your example of this, it can go down to the wire.
Exactly.
It can go down to your UCAS application, where you're looking at the universities / subjects you're going to do in the future.
Yeah.
And at that point is what you decide.
Yeah.
Because that's literally what happened with you.
Yeah.
I
I didn't know exactly what career to follow, but I had
Had an idea,
ideas
yeah.
of interest that I liked and what I wanted to kind of do, which is why I stuck predominantly to the STEM side of things, because I knew for sure STEM was something that I wanted to do. Science, technology, engineering, maths, for those who don't know what STEM is. Those kind of subjects, and those will influence your GCSE and A-level subjects that you choose, which we'll discuss in further chapters. But like I said, don't close yourself off too early. Things will happen, things will change, doors will open, and you'll come across different things.
Yeah, and on the flip side of that, if you do have something that you like myself, I had chemistry and maths, grab a hold of it and really think,
Definitely.
This is what I want to run with, and go for it. Keep everything else in mind. But if you don't like biology, if you don't like physics, then you don't have to keep following paths, and open doors for yourselves. Everything's a win at the end of the day.
Just do it!
So something I was telling you earlier as well is, no matter what you do, it's a win. So if you do something and you dislike it, it's a win for you, because you realize you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So what piece of advice I would give was encourage people to go on open days, do the work experience, take it as serious as you can.
Exactly. Yeah.
Insight weeks, these are so important.
Because I think if I didn't actually go on those work experience and open days for pharmacy,
you would have ended up.
I might have ended up in pharmacy.
You might not have liked it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and it would have been too late by then.
Yeah, exactly.
Try out as much as you can.
As much as you can, as quick as you can, and I think schools now, especially in A levels, they take you on sort of career fairs. Is it? Do go there. I mean, I know we used to go to career fairs, and we used to go there to nick pens and bottles, and they used to just give like free.
Still do that now.
Oh yeah, exactly. But try and go there and be serious, and along with nicking some pens and taking some bottles or
It's
whatever.
not all about freebies.
It's not all about the freebies. It is, but it isn't as well. Try and take some interest in what you're doing. What they're trying to offer you.
It's
And
your
it gives
future.
It's your future. It gives you such a great insight of what you want to do next.
Yeah. And this is just our early stages. We got that one out of the way.
There's a lot more to come.
There's a lot more to come,
so
and
I guess-
engineering just gets so much more involved. And
Yeah, I mean,
there's so much more we can talk about.
in terms of this, I feel like we may have robbed the listeners here. They might have listened to this whole thing. We talked about piloting, pharmacy quite a lot, and we've sort of not brushed aside engineering. We've just gone over it really quickly. The reason being is because this whole podcast is going to be about engineering, so we probably won't mention.
There'll be a lot more engineering involved
next.
in future episodes.
Yeah, well, after this, we'll never be mentioning pilot and pharmacy
Yeah.
again. So yeah,
Exactly.
engineering to come. But
Next time, what are we talking about?
next time, I think it's GCSEs, right?
Yeah, so we'll start going into
Early
GCSEs.
education.
Might even touch on to A levels, or depending on how long the episode will run
Yeah,
for.
we'll just decide
It
as
might
we
be in
go.
the next episode.
Yeah.
But that's basically the building blocks. That's where we're going to start.
Yeah, and that's how So this was sort of our interest, but now it'll be
Practical
practical aspect. What we learnt, what we thought was good, some subjects that we,
I think there'll be a lot more tips that we can probably provide.
Yeah, probably provide, revising
Studying,
and studying, all of that,
yeah.
all that to come. Yeah. So, yeah, hope you enjoyed, everyone.
Yep. Thank you for listening. I hope everyone enjoyed it, like Pat said, and please stay tuned for the next chapter of An Engineering Odyssey. Get involved with us. Contact us on An Eng Odyssey on Twitter. What else is there?
There's our email right now set up, which is anengineeringodyssey@gmail.com.
Get in contact if you have any questions, queries, if you want advice, just get in contact with us.
We'll be posting some exciting stuff on there as soon as possible. I mean,
Definitely.
yeah, please do, stay up to date with all that.
And just stay tuned for the next chapter of An Engineering Odyssey.